Hey there, I'm the Mad Catster, and am I glad to see you here. Well, boys and girls, the day has finally arrived when we've got some updates on all of those pending McBroom lawsuit. And I'm going to give you the tea and the what's what in just a second, so let's jump in. So the McBroom shitnado is still swirling around. It's been swirling since summer. It's been swirling into the fall. The multitude of lawsuits that were spawned by the failed Social Gloves event are still going on, but we finally have some movement, and I'm going to get into right now what's going on with each of the cases. Now, the first thing that's really interesting is the case with Taylor Holder suing Austin McBroom. Believe it or not, Taylor Holder has filed notice with the court stating that the case has a pending settlement. They've informed the judge at their case management conference. The case management conference, just so you know, is sort of like the very first thing that happens at the beginning of litigation when you decide what's going to happen when and what the deadlines are for all the different aspects that have to occur leading up to the trial. Well, anyways, at his case management conference, the attorneys informed the court that there's a pending settlement. So that case will be over. Once the settlement happens, and probably won't be public. They usually have like a non-disclosure, and they don't like to post the settlement agreement on the court website, and they won't what they call docket it, which means the court takes it in and makes it a public part of the file. All we will know is, unless something leaks out, that the case has been settled. So once it is settled, they will file a dismissal, and that's the end of the Taylor Holder lawsuit. However, there is one other interesting thing. The judge put in here that there is going to be monetary sanctions against Taylor Holder's attorney, Bobby Samini, for failure to appear. That's a big deal. Attorneys are rarely ever sanctioned unless they really do something bad. And certainly to get monetary sanctions, the judge has to be really pissed off. So Taylor Holder's attorney really pissed the judge off, and the judge is now going to assess monetary sanctions against his attorney. But the good news for Austin McBroom, and I guess for Taylor Holder, is there's going to be a settlement. Who knows what it's going to be? Maybe it's going to be in exchange for a whole bunch of shitty Ace Family merchandise. I don't know, because I don't know how much cash Austin possibly could have to offer in a settlement, but we'll find out, hopefully, in the media. Then, in the case with LiveX Live versus Austin McBroom for defamation, and the case with Austin McBroom against LiveX Live claiming breach of contract, because he's blaming LiveX Live, as you know, for the disaster and the terrible results from the Social Gloves fiasco. And what happened now is that they filed what's known as a case management statement in each of the cases, which basically sets out when the case management conference is going to be, and sort of gives a little preliminary information, like a brief synopsis. Usually there's a paragraph that will give you each side's version of what the case is about. LiveX Live's case against Austin McBroom, the case management conference for that is going to be on December 8th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. Now, what's interesting is in their brief statement of the case, this is what LiveX Live has to say about Austin McBroom. Defendants, Austin McBroom and Simply Greatness Productions, retain plaintiffs, LiveX Live, to stream and produce a boxing event conceived by the defendants. The defendants breached the agreement by failing to collaborate with plaintiffs on marketing, which resulted in the underperformance of the event, and that's an understatement. Embarrassed by the poor performance, defendants publicly defamed plaintiffs, claiming that plaintiffs were liars and criminals, and that plaintiffs were hiding ticket sales. I don't know if you remember, Austin McBroom was out in public shooting his mouth off like an idiot about how he was blaming Social Gloves, and he thought that there was, corruption and other shenanigans going on, and somehow they weren't reporting the accurate figures, which we all knew was BS. But basically now he's paying the price because they're suing him, saying that he's a liar and he's hurt their reputation. And Austin McBroom and Simply Greatness Productions have also filed a case management statement. So the case management conference for Simply Greatness Production and Austin McBroom's lawsuit against LiveX Live is going to have a case management conference on November 30th at 8:30 a.m. Hopefully we'll see something filed after that I can report to you on each of these, of what's going on and what it looks like is going to happen. So one interesting thing about the case management report filed by LiveX Live is they claim that there has been mediation that's already occurred, and occurred earlier this month. And apparently it must have been a failure because we're still moving forward with the case. Usually the court encourages the parties to get together for mediation to see if maybe they can resolve the issues, come up with a settlement, and try to end the case without going through the whole litigation process and going through a trial. But clearly that didn't happen. I'm not surprised. Then Austin McBroom and Simply Greatness Productions filed their case management statement. Their case management conference will be on November 30th at 8:30 a.m. They provided a brief statement of the case, and their version of what their case is about is that plaintiff Austin McBroom alleges that it conceived of a boxing exhibition event. Plaintiff retained defendant LiveX Live to stream and produce the event. Plaintiff alleges LiveX Live misrepresented its projections of the event's future performance based upon the alleged inflated projections. Plaintiffs overextended itself in the event's budget. Austin McBroom is saying, "Oh, LiveX Live made me spend too much money because they told me it was going to make this much and it really didn't." Well, we know the story is that Austin McBroom didn't listen to any of the advice LiveX Live gave him and decided he knew best, that he was just such a narcissist that he thought people would just flock to the pay-per-view to watch the event and that no aggressive promotion was really needed. And unfortunately, he was wrong, and the experts were not listened to, and the event failed. And so now Austin McBroom, in typical fashion, is saying, "Don't blame me, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. You know, nothing is ever his fault." But we know it's not true. I doubt he's gonna win this case. I'd be surprised if it actually gets to trial, but we'll wait and see. As many of you probably know, PLL Cosmetics, which is Catherine McBroom's partner in her 1212 Gateway Cosmetics company, sued her back in the summer. They filed a lawsuit claiming that Catherine McBroom had basically hijacked all of the passwords and websites and everything in social media for 1212 Gateway and wasn't allowing PLL Cosmetics to manage the business. Well, as I had said before on some of my videos, I was very, very surprised because no answer had been filed. And an answer, if you remember, is when somebody files a lawsuit against you, you file what's called an answer, where you basically either admit or deny the allegations that they made. Usually you just deny everything and then you see how it progresses from there. But Catherine McBroom apparently, as I know from checking as often as I did on the court website, never filed an answer. So, as you do, PLL Cosmetics filed for a default judgment against Catherine McBroom with the court. And as you can see, they've requested a court judgment under Civil Code Procedure, blah, 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 against defendant Catherine McBroom. And the total of the demand on the complaint was damages in the amount of $24,207,988.61. And what they're doing is they're asking the court, since she didn't respond, and if you don't, the court then can take all of the allegations in the complaint against you as true because you have not denied them, and they can enter a default judgment, which basically means the other side wins and you have a judgment against you and you have to pay them or not if you don't have the money, and we all know they don't have the money. So that happened. But so interestingly, right after they asked for a default, which the court never did rule on. Actually, no, they did, but I'll tell you in a second about that. So anyways, back on September 1st, it hadn't been docketed. I don't know why it wasn't showing up, but apparently back on September 1st, PLL Cosmetics filed a request for dismissal of the entire case. You can see on the form, they asked for the complaint to be dismissed with prejudice. Now, what with prejudice means is basically they can never bring this lawsuit based on the facts that they were alleging ever again. So she's free and clear of what they were accusing her of, and they can never sue her for it again, unless it happens in the future. But in terms of the past, she's clear. So that's the end of that. And I'm sure Catherine McBroom is doing her happy dance and celebrating, but she's not out of the woods. As you know, there's still so much going on against these people. But then what happened was a company called 360 Sourcing Group Inc. turned around and filed the lawsuit against 1212 Gateway, Catherine's cosmetic company. And what they're alleging, and you will be shocked, is that 1212 Gateway didn't pay their bills. So 1212 Gateway is being sued by 360 Sourcing Group. So what 360 Sourcing Group is alleging is that beginning about April 16th, 2021, that they and 1212 Gateway entered into a series of verbal agreements, which were then confirmed in writing, and which provided that 360 was going to provide materials and supplies for various skincare, cosmetics, related items and products, and provide packaging containers and written material in conjunction therewith. They were going to produce that, the boxes, the the wrapping, whatever was going to be needed for packaging. And they're saying that 1212 Gateway agreed to pay them the prevailing price at the time and to pay each invoice as presented. But we all know that the McBrooms have a chronic phobia of paying invoices. And what they're saying is 1212 Gateway breached the agreements. They failed and refused and continue to fail and refuse to pay invoices for said product as they became due, and the sum of $719,822.14 remains due, owing and unpaid. So another deadbeat lawsuit against a McBroom. So now 1212 Gateway has filed an answer. When you file an answer, it's usually really brief, and basically you either admit or deny the allegations. You don't really get into a whole lot of detail. So it's usually very short, and this one is. As you can see, it says, defendants generally and specifically deny each and every and all allegations in complaint, as well as, and actually they made a typo here because it should say in plaintiff's complaint, but it says in defendant's complaint. So shame on you, lawyer. As well as each and every cause of action contained therein, defendants further deny that plaintiff has or will sustain damages in any sum or sums or otherwise or at all due to any act or omission on the part of defendants, its agents, or employees. Now that's a crock of shit. So basically what they're saying is that 360 is not going to suffer a loss. Well, they have suffered a loss, and unless 1212 Gateway is going to reach into its pocket and magically find the money to pay these things off, they are going to suffer a loss. So I don't know how they're going to proceed with a defense like that. Just nonsense. You either pay the invoice or you don't, or you allege that there was some problem with the materials and that's why you withheld payment, and they're not alleging this. This is the time when you would put that forward as what's known as a defense. They're not filing any defenses. And so it's really bizarre because they're not offering any defenses that would claim that there's a legitimate, valid reason why 1212 Gateway has stiffed 360. So that sounds like a loser for them to me. They clearly don't have a defense, except that they just don't have the money, probably because it's another failed McBroom business, which is going under, I'm assuming, and that there is no... And actually, that's why I think that the case against Catherine McBroom was dismissed, is because they know that they have no hope in hell of ever getting any kind of money out of Catherine McBroom, even if they did win a judgment against her. So they're just basically saying, we give up. We know this is a loser. We're not going to spend any money pursuing it. And I presume that this case, they'll win it. But again, how is 360 Sourcing Group going to ever collect a penny of it? I don't see that happening. And again, I've said it before, I still think that at some point we're going to see bankruptcy filed in a number of these cases. But anyway, so that's the status of that. So we've got the case against Catherine McBroom was dismissed by our business partners. The 1212 Gateway is now being sued by a vendor. Taylor Holder has claimed that the parties have reached a settlement agreement, which again, I hope it leaks because I'm really interested to hear how that's going to get settled, because we know that the McBrooms don't have two dimes to rub together. And also, LiveX Live's case is going to be having soon its case management conference, and Austin McBroom and Simply Greatness Productions case against LiveX Live is going to also have its case management conference at the end of this month. So I'll take a look when those happen to see what's going on and find out what the story is. Now, if you stick around right after this, I'm going to introduce you to another cat. He's one of my, I call them special cats because we have a special bond, and his name's Olivier, but I call him Squirt. And so you'll see that in a minute, but thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching. I'm sorry I didn't post a video last week. I've been extremely busy with work, and I also had to go home last weekend to spend some time with my family, and I'm gonna make up for it, but I promise I'll do better. I've just gotta really make time to do this, and I will. But thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Olivier would appreciate it. All the cats would appreciate it. And stick around to watch the kitty introduction for the latest rescue cat introduction, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Thank you for sticking around for the cat introduction for this week. I'm introducing you today to Monsieur Olivier. And Olivier, actually, I don't use that name ever when I talk to him. I actually call him Squirt. And the reason I call him Squirt is because he's just a little runt. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but he's a little tiny little boy, and he's never grown any bigger. I've had him for several years now. I got him from the shelter, so he does not really have a tragic story. I felt bad for him because no one would adopt him because he was, he has chronic allergies and other sinus issues. So he's a lot of the time sneezy and runny and everything. And sometimes I give them, believe it or not, you can give very small amounts of human antihistamines to cats. Don't do it without checking with your vet, though, please. Um, and I do sometimes give that to him if he's really bad. He's actually in a good spell right now. So, oh, and that's Edith's tail. They're in her ears that you can see. I'll tell you their story. Her sister Mary. I'll tell you their very sad story. Maybe in the next video. But anyway, so Olivier, he came from a no-kill shelter, so his life really wasn't in danger, unlike most of my other cats. But like I said, he had been there for quite a while. Nobody wanted him because he was always sick. So I took him, and he's like my best buddy. He's my favorite boy cat. But don't tell anybody. He talks to me. When I talk to him, he talks back to me. Right, Squirt? Squirt? Say hi. Squirt. You good boy, Squirt? Who's the little Squirt? No, he's not going to talk now. But and every morning, if I'm happen right, obviously we've been working from home a lot because of COVID, but every day when I'm getting ready for work to leave, like to go to court or whatever, he knows that's what I'm doing, and he will go and sit halfway down the stairs, and he'll just wait. And when I come down to leave, he chatters away at me and rubs against me, and it's basically he says goodbye and then he walks me to the door. So he's really cute, and he sleeps with me every night, and snuggles up with me. He likes to put his head like on my shoulder and like lay between my arm and my chest. So he's my good buddy. But anyway, so that's Olivier. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.